Hey everyone, thank you for joining me in this next segment of foam rolling. I wanted to demonstrate for you upper thoracic foam rolling all the way down to the lumbar spine. You're going to find that as I demonstrate these different movements that I'm working through a progression. I'm going to be first starting with what is called static loading. Static loading is where you're not moving your body at all. You're actually putting the weight or force of your body into the roller with an angulation. You'll notice as you're more upright, the force upon your body on the roller is much less. As you go back into extension, it's a lot more. So I'm going to be demonstrating how to do a static load and then moving into progression through a dynamic load, which is a little bit more weight and a lot more dynamic loading on the muscle groups that you're going to be rolling over. This is really important. I don't want you to skip progression. It'll give you, especially if you're starting as a beginner, please start at the static loading because you're less likely to hurt or injure yourself. Dynamic loads are you moving your body with your pelvis up a little bit higher, and of course it grades. It goes from the very basic with your pelvis down a little bit lower to the ground, and then as you raise your pelvis up, the force upon your on your back with the roller becomes a lot greater. As a caution, I want you to go slow. Going over the low back especially is very vulnerable, and the potential to hurt yourself is great if you're not paying attention to what's going on. So therefore, go super slow. Use your breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. Carry that breath to your chest like a rising wave, but have it be slow in coordination with those movements. Only angle your body down further in extension if you're able to handle previous kinds of loads with angulations that are easier. Do not push yourself beyond your limits, but I do want you to push yourself so that you're not bullied by pain and you can actually see the edge of the horizon through what you're dealing with. Okay, let's do this very comfortably. Roll down until you get to that awesome spot in the upper thoracic area. This is the thoracic spine roll and stretch. Draw your hands up, cradle your head, and bring your elbows together. This should be comfortable. Do not strain yourself doing this. Remember to breathe. And then from there, flex your upper body and extend your upper body with your breathing. Do this 8 times. You'll notice that the beginning is much harder than the end. It really does get comfortable. And if you feel some pops and cracks, that's okay too. That's exactly what we want. From here, straight leg. This is an alternate position. You'll find that this is a little bit more challenging, perhaps. Make sure that you alternate the other leg as well so that you can capitalize on all the different muscles that are being challenged during all of these movements. From here, dynamic loading. Raise your hips. At first, you're going to be starting low and then gradually bring your pelvis further up. And then start in with the flexion of the upper thoracic portion using your head and elbows. Okay, take your time with this one. Go slow. These are elbow reaches. Now you'll notice there's a little bit of a rhythm here, and I've had lots of practice. Please don't get down on yourself if you can't do it right away. Practice does make progress, but you're gonna notice I'm using my elbows to reach and scoop. You'll feel the loading compression on the rhomboids, the scapula. It feels super good. Now notice I'm bringing up my pelvis of varying heights. Here I'm going into extension and flexion flies. Notice how my pelvis is actually, it was pretty low, now it's getting a little bit higher. Alternate your movements, don't just stick to one thing. Notice how even in my flies, I'm capitalizing on the fullest extent of that range. My head is in full extension. You can even rotate your head to side when you're in extension. There are many possibilities of movement as long as you can just be creative, go slow, and use your breathing. This is a great movement. Total tractioning of the spine. Reach above head. Reach out as if you were reaching towards an object that you were holding on to so that you can traction out the spine. Now, I've had a lot of practice. Whatever angle you can go to, start from there. You will get better. Then from there, with your pelvis on the floor, start to bring your pelvis more skyward so that you can actually feel more of that loading effort. Scooch down as necessary. Get comfortable in these positions. Remember to breathe. From here, extension, flexion, reaches. I really like this position a lot. Not only does it give you the tractioning capability of that axial traction, but you're also getting more dynamic kinds of movements and strength overlying where you're putting that pressure loading with the roller. I'm alternating legs as well, bringing one down, one up. You'll notice different things happening in the spine when you perform these movements, whether with straight or bent leg. This is another alternate variation to what we were doing before. These are swoops. You know, I spend a lot of time rolling, so I just make these things up. And so can you. Just be creative. Spend some time, use your breathing. It's pretty awesome to see what you can discover by moving your body in different ways with breathing under the loading force of a roller. There's no wrong way as long as you're abiding by the rules of going slow, use your breathing. Do about 8 of these so that you can actually feel the progression of not only movement, but you feeling better in the movement. This is one of my favorite positions, especially when you've got achy back pain and side pain, rib pain. This is a static side hold. Now, you're not moving much at all. You're just putting pressure, especially a pressure and a force that you can tolerate. You can load your body as much or as little as you like. So start small and then build. And then when you get through with an area that you're working on and it feels better, I wouldn't hang out there too long, but give it enough time to where your discomfort that you first started with reduces by about 20 to 30%, and then move into a different area, a new area that now feels just as sensitive as it did before. Make sure that you're doing the same thing all the way up and all the way down, and then switch sides. Now from the static loading, get into the position that you see, and now start rotating your body, elbow to floor, and then elbow to floor. These are rib rotations. I want you to really feel this. These are going to be super sensitive. Use your breathing. Go slow. It doesn't matter how slow it is. It could be like glacially slow. Just make sure that you're not going beyond your own boundaries. Okay, this is another variation of what we're doing with rib rotations. This is definitely dynamic in its scope. We really want to reach in rotation so that we can capture all of the associated musculature in this movement. Notice how I'm using my legs in various positions so that I can get comfortable. Please get comfortable in all these positions. Put your legs up, down, sideways, just so long as you're relaxed. I really like this posture, rib rotation, crawls. This allows you to literally walk up your back very dynamically and yet with a static hold. This is a really nice variation. Rib rotation, windmills. I really like how you're able to control your movements very fluidly with breathing. This gives you a lot of what I'm talking about with the dynamic loading, yet super controlled and slow. If you notice any shaking or fasciculation in your muscles, slow it down. I love this next one, lumbar baby rolls. This is perfect for when you've got an achy, sore back. Your pelvis is just barely off the floor or on the floor as you're going up and down. Oscillate through your lumbar spine in just a very small section. It feels fantastic. You can load that area as much as you like just by putting your arms up or down. Changing the angulation of your body increases the loading or lightens the load. This builds on what we were doing before. I like to just grab my hips, bring my head back in extension, and bring my body back in extension as well. This is a little bit more challenging than the baby rolls because I have increased the loading completely. Please be careful while in the lumbar spine. These are very advanced moves and you need much practice if you're going to be doing the things that I was just doing. Okay, so you've already had some practice with this kind of movement. This is the lumbar static rotation and hold. You've got the foam roller over the lumbar spine, and it should feel like a dull, achy discomfort of varying levels. Make sure that you're going to tolerance. Notice how I put my hand on the opposite knee and with my elbow on the floor. I want you to reach for it. Lumbar baby roll rotations. Same thing that I was doing before, but now I'm adding a little bit more of dynamic movements. Challenge the area. Don't go beyond your threshold. Continue, though, to put in an honest effort. This allows you to isolate all of those lumbar muscles, quadratus lumborum, paraspinal muscles of the lumbar spine. These are fantastic. You can change your leg positions as well to make it more comfortable for yourself. Don't just stick to one thing. Don't just follow me. Do something on your own. Create something. Okay, I'm going to show you two different ways to get into the pelvic area. Notice how I was sitting at first, and then I maneuvered my body so that I can position the roller, ideally, right where the sacrum is at the base of the lumbar spine, but not entirely on the back. Alternatively, you can get there from this position, using the roller as a teeter-totter almost, and then drawing up. I prefer this position. It's a lot easier. Get comfortable using your legs just to oscillate through. There's no wrong or right here. Just create small movements at first and then build on those primary movements. Let's get into pelvic rotations. Starting from smaller circles, get wider. Really feel the positions here. Notice how I went from side to side and almost slowed down and stopped for a moment. This is a wonderful pelvic rotational movement. You're going to feel this. Make sure that you're breathing, that you're contracting your abs so that you can create this movement. Notice how I've interlocked my ankles as well. From here, pelvic jackknife. This is definitely more advanced. Slow down. Create some fluidity with your movements. You're going to notice that it challenges you in the hip flexors. From here, bicycles. You can go from small circles to much wider circles, bringing your pelvis down as well. That brings in more tensional loading. Pelvic bowstrings. There's lots of things that you can do. Notice how I'm just being creative with the movements. As long as you're fluid, you've contracted your abs, you can really get some great movements. Pelvic hip openers. These are probably the more challenging of the techniques that I'm showing here. I really love this position. It's very challenging. I can definitely feel it in my hip flexors. All in all, for this session, you should spend at least 15 to 20 minutes in a session. Please give it an honest run. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something from it. Remember, in all of these things, go slow. Use your breathing. Take time to spend in doing this beautiful work. Tune up your body as often as you can. It'll be worth it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.